Hello everybody, welcome to Gearhead Entertainment. Today is Sundays with Steve, and we're going to be playing through the Age of Mythology Retold campaign, Fall of the Trident, on ludicrous difficulty. It is the hardest difficulty, but I played the original on Titan, so it shouldn't be too bad. These first couple levels in particular, I'm not expecting too much. It's just a tutorial for the first 2-3 levels, so it's a lot more manageable. If you guys want more of this, if you like this, go ahead and leave a like down in the comments, and go ahead and leave a like, comment, and let Dean know that he still needs to give me that raise. He gave me 100% raise, which is great, but we're still shooting for that 200. So let him know that he needs to give me a 200% raise. He can swing it. Trust me. Merry Christmas, by the way. You know, this should be coming out on I believe it's the 19th. So 4 more days or 6 more days. I can't math. Oh, the 21st. I'm all over the place. It's been a long week. So this should be coming out on the 21st, which means 4 more days until Christmas. So you got that going for you. You guys doing anything exciting for Christmas? You have any fun traditions? We usually bake cookies. I mean, I know it's something normally little kids do, but I have a sweet tooth, and it's just something we haven't really stopped doing. So I'll be making peanut butter chocolate chip cookies, and they probably won't last more than a day. But that's all right. It's just an excuse to make more.
Excellent. It will be good to see my son Castor again.
I really do like this game. I used to play Age of Mythology, the original one, and you know, I played that right up until they released Age of Mythology Retold, and even a little bit after, because back then my computer couldn't quite handle it. So I recently got a new one, and it runs like a dream. And I'm finally able to use it to fulfill my childhood fantasies of seeing the game I used to play in 4K. I'm kind of surprised it turned out as well as it did. I had a lot of faith because it was the original creators of Age of Mythology doing it, but it's also Ubisoft, and they don't exactly have the best track record. Need I say more? I mean, they find a way to screw up a lot of things. So the fact that this came out not just you know, polished like it was, but also with quality of life improvements that actually made the game better, it's shocking to say the least. It's kind of like, you know, how if you have a crush on on someone in high school, and you meet back up when you're 30, and she got hotter. You know, it's kind of like that. So we're just gonna go ahead and start up. You want to attack all myth units with your heroes as best you can, because they will shred your infantry. As Athena is saying. And then we're just going to use our archers to go ahead and pick off the rest from behind. We'll go ahead, group our production buildings under Army 3, so that whenever we press the number 3 key, it brings these up. And I'm going to go ahead and auto queue both of those. So what that means is that as we get enough resources, it will train another unit. Let's go ahead and get those guys over here. You go over here. Go ahead and harvest that. So you don't even have to think about it. As long as you've got the resources, it's going to make more Toxotes, more Hoplites. The basic idea here that we're going to shoot for is we're going to try and have Hoplites and Arcantos block off the majority of the incoming attacks, and we're going to let the Toxotes do the fighting. They should come in right about here. So we want our archers to target the ship before it lands. It's got a little flag on it. It means that it's got troops garrisoned. So if we can take that ship out before it hits the beach, then we might be able to avoid a massive fight. And it doesn't look like we're going to be able to do it. Nope. That's alright. Arcantos will still soak up most of the damage, and it's not too critical. It's early on. But the more of those boats you can sink, the better, and the more Toxotes you get, the faster you'll be able to do that. If you watched my last episode, you saw that we can actually speed up gameplay, and that is what I'm going to do, because it's kind of tedious waiting on all these troops to train. So it just speeds up your production a bit. It will speed up the attack speed of the enemy, so, you know, we'll get attacks more frequently. It'll be a little bit harder to manage. If you find that's the case, you can just slow it down. That's one of those quality of life changes that they did put in with the new Age of Mythology Retold. You didn't used to be able to do that, at least not without cheat codes on the older one. So it's definitely a nice change of pace. Another thing they put in is that you can actually push units. You know, it used to be just you'd get a big mass of troops and then they would get stuck and you couldn't move until you killed everything. Now they kind of push each other, so you can see things like that where that ship just goes in and it completely shoves the other ship off course.
Good work, but keep your eyes open.
Oh, Arcantos, why are you like this? We will use the Restoration God Power. So this is worth bringing up. I believe I mentioned it yesterday, but each faction gets God Powers. Throughout the campaign, it varies a little bit. Of course, they're gonna change it up depending on the mission itself. Let's see if we can kill this real quick. We're not gonna be able to sink those pirate ships before they hit the beach, but we can kill the Kraken real quick. So normally, Restoration is a classical age God Power. But, I must have had the scroll key pressed. Normally it's a classical age God Power, but because it's campaign level, we get it a little bit early. It's just kind of an introduction on how to use them. In the original game, it used to be a one and done thing. You'd use it and then you wouldn't be able to use it again. In this campaign, it's a little bit different because they changed it so now you get it whenever you have enough favor. So we're not going to be able to use this here, but in the next campaign level, you should see that we'll be able to reuse our God Powers with slight cost of favor. And that cost is decreased when you build a wonder. Alright, let's go ahead and cash float for a bit. I want to get my copper weapons. I want to get my shield.
The pirates won't take Atlantis.
And get these upgrades. These are nice. Unlike some of the strategy games I've played, you purchase it once and it applies for every troop. So they're not the best upgrades, but copper weapons and medium infantry is a lot better than normal infantry. Alright, we're going to ignore that Kraken, and we're going to pull back. I don't think I'm going to be sinking any ships this go around. Sometimes I can, sometimes it just doesn't happen. And we don't really care too much if they're hitting the dock. The dock doesn't really matter. And because we're Poseidon, the dock summons militiamen as soon as it's destroyed. They're not super useful, they're very weak pikemen, but it's better than nothing. Let's have our Petrobolos. Let's have those attack the warships. Alright, let's kill these guys, and we have one last wave. So we're going to pull everybody back. We're going to pull them all the way down here. And the reason is, we're going to get attacked by a massive wave of upgraded infantry. And we're not really ready for that. You don't have to worry about it too much, because as soon as the infantry lands, we're going to be getting up, and see, there they are. As soon as the infantry lands, we're going to be dealing with the Atlantean army. They'll be here any second. See? Right on cue. And these guys, they might be medium, but they're enough of a reinforcement that they can wipe out any invading force. It's just frustrating a little bit because you want to make sure your troops see these guys are champions right here. They're just going to eat through your troops if you're not careful. So that's why I pulled them over here. It's, again, it doesn't really matter. You'll be able to handle them one way or another, but it just makes it a little easy. I didn't even have to use the Lightning Storm. I will, because it's fun. And it's easy as that. So we'll go ahead, we'll move on to the next mission. Again, this one's just kind of a tutorial, training basic hoplites from your barracks, from your archery range. We'll get a better look at that in this next mission where we have a little bit more freedom. And I'll show off resource gathering, things like that. We'll show off a little bit more in the way of buildings. We are kind of restricted in what we have available just because of the age that we're in. We're going to be locked to the classical age, but that is enough to get temples, barracks, armories, that sort of thing.
There could not be a clearer sign, Arcantos. We are losing Poseidon's favor.
That's right, we gotta go get that Trident back, and we gotta go to Troy.
I'm going to get that Trident back.
This game is kind of broken up. It gives you tutorials as you enter into each new faction. So right now we're getting the majority of the tutorials because we're in Greece. That's the first couple levels. When we inevitably go to Egypt and to Norway, we'll get a bit of an introduction as to how to play those factions as well. They don't play all that different, but it's different enough that it helps to get a bit of a warm-up. So anyway, like I said, that level, not too difficult. It's just mainly a tutorial. We don't really have to work too hard to get through it. This one's same way. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. We're going to get a little bit of outside pressure while we're starting to reform our economy, but It's nothing we can't handle. So we're just going to start off, and I'll go ahead and kind of explain a little bit about resource gathering, because we didn't really have to do that on the last one. So in the first game, I believe that I explained while we were doing the dailies that you have these drop sites, and your villagers are going to collect food and drop it off at the nearest drop site. So for food, it's the granary, at least for the Greeks, and then for wood and gold, it's a storehouse. So you want to make sure you're building these drop sites as close as possible to where you're actually going to be harvesting. It's 50 wood, so it's not really that much of an investment. Go ahead and move my guys forward. I've also played this level enough that I know some of the secrets. I'm going to take a boat around, move them up here. There's a shipwreck in this area. It'll give you extra wood and gold. Not hugely helpful in this level. You know, you're not going to need it, but it's nice to have. We'll go ahead and set the scout on auto scout. Go. I'm going to speed this one up as well. Take a little bit less time to get started. Things we can do since we've got our scout, we'll use him to find pigs for us. You want to make sure you have enough villagers that you're comfortable with the amount of income per minute that you get. You know, so some people they don't need quite as many. For me, I do like between 10 and 20. It takes a while to get your economy started, but once it's going, you don't have to worry about anything. There's our wood and gold that we got with that. Let's bring him around here. I don't expect to get a whole lot of naval pressure on this map, but it never hurts to be prepared. We'll kill them off when we need more population. Food, faster, please. We got 10 on food. Go ahead and get these guys on gold and keep building houses. We have our population limit up here in the top right of our UI display, and you can see both the population that you have available as well as the amount of economic units that you have created. Let's move you guys down here, harvest some deer. We'll get about 5 on gold and then switch to creating villagers for wood, just because we don't want to run out of wood while we're trying to build our economy. I do recommend walling off down towards the south. I could have gone a little bit farther down and used a bit of a tighter choke point, but there is a tower up here, and sometimes they upgrade that tower, and so you don't want to get too close and then have people shooting at your walls the entire time. Not going to level up yet. We're not in a huge hurry. Once I get 10 on each, then I'll probably level up from there. I don't need to build a dock, but I might build one just to show you guys what's available and what's not. Let's harvest that real quick. 5. Yeah, let's build a dock. We'll take a look. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take 5 of our food resource gatherers. I'm going to put them on wood. So now we've got our 10 on wood. I have 8 on gold. And then these guys will gather food, and we'll also train some fishing ships. So your dock is going to train all of your naval units. Let's go ahead and turn off the auto queue for a second. We have our fishing ships, and they will gather food from wherever they're fishing. Now, you can only have 1 fishing ship per fish, and enemy units can drive you off of these fish. So if you have fish in the water, you do kind of want to be careful, make sure that they're protected. But they're going to harvest the food source forever because fish is infinite. So you don't have to worry about searching for new fishing spots. As soon as you found a good one, you can just leave your fishing ships where they're at, and they'll take care of everything for you. Farther out, we'll go fish there, and there's probably more over here. Get 10 on favor. So for the Greeks, every Every faction has these 4 resources. Favor is the one that's going to vary the most from faction to faction. The way you gather it is going to be different. For the Greeks, the way they gather favor is by worshipping at a temple. And the more villagers you have worshipping at a temple, the faster you're going to get your favor. Zeus gathers the fastest, so if you want to really lean into favor gathering, you want to go Zeus. We're not going Zeus today, we're going with Poseidon. Look at that. Look at that guy. Look at that Trident. Look how cool that is. Looks so much nicer than it did in the original. And the original still looked good, but a game made in the 90s, it didn't have quite the same quality. And we'll go ahead and cue the level up. So, at the beginning of each age, you do have the option to choose between 2 minor gods. You select your major god before every skirmish, and they will select it for you for the campaign. And then you have your choice between the minor gods. Normally, as Poseidon, I lean towards Hermes, focus on cavalry. Poseidon does as well, so I like to lean into my strengths. But I don't plan on using any cavalry. The only cavalry I have available would be these centaurs. You actually can't build a stable on this 2nd level. You have to wait till further in the campaign. And also, the centaurs require wood, which, we have plenty, but food is an infinite resource, so I tend to go with that. The Cyclopses are also very strong. They have a lot of crush damage, whereas the centaurs are more pierce damage. And since we're going to be trying to take down buildings, it's easier to do that with Cyclopses than with centaurs. Destroy that granary in this one. I don't really need them. And while we're leveling up, let's go ahead and build some houses too. So this is a new thing. This didn't used to be a thing amongst the old Age of Mythology game. We can do it now. You can kind of distribute your villagers amongst whatever resource you want. And it'll take care of it for you. I don't really use it because I know what I like. But if you're somebody who is new to the game, you might try using this and just have them auto-distribute your resources for you based on what they think you'll need the most of. Again, not really my thing, but you can give it a shot if you like. It's also good, so I believe this game is actually also available to Xbox players, and if for whatever reason you are playing on a console, I don't know why you would play a strategy game like this on a console, but if you are, that's probably the best way to manage it, and they have made this as console friendly as they can with that resource distribution. Let's see here. And we're under attack. That's fine. We'll repel these guys real quick. I want to get a few more troops because I expect a bigger attack to come soon. And then we'll go from there. So there are certain buildings that are locked to a certain age. For the Archaic Age, you're locked to houses, granaries, storehouses, temples, and docks. And in order to advance to the next age, you need to build a temple. The next age, of course, is the Classical Age, and you'll have more buildings unlocked to you. So we have access to the archery range. It's where we train our Toxotes. The barracks, it's where we're going to train our Hoplites. Go ahead and throw in some Toxotes as well. And then we can produce farms. Now these are slower than hunting and herding, but they do produce infinite amounts of food, so that can be pretty nice. We have a market that allows us to trade for resources. If we're low on one, we can sell some of the other and buy the resource we're low on. And then we have the armory, and that's where we're going to get all our upgrades. So copper weapons, copper armor, and copper shields. The weapons is going to increase all your damage types, and then the armor is going to be better against hack and crush damage, and then the shield is going to be better against pierce damage. So different enemies are going to use different damage types, and so better armor all around just helps you to be safer from those. And here's the attack. This is why I wanted some units. We had kind of an initial attack with a couple of small raiding parties, and then I knew as soon as I saw those we were going to get more. It's not a huge deal. You know, you just want to make sure you have a few troops on hand to deal with it. All right, let's get these guys over here. All right, that is all of our major buildings right now. So the next step is for me to train a bunch of Cyclopses. So that's going to take a little bit. Because of that, I'm not going to let you sit through that entire process. I'm going to auto-queue them, and I will come back when it is complete. So, be a few minutes for me, but hopefully only a couple seconds for you guys. While we're waiting on these Cyclopses to train, I want to take a moment and just talk about Cyclopses from mythology. They're generally depicted as giant creatures towering over mortal men. The depictions can vary between whether they look more humanoid with just one central eye, or whether they look like a satyr with one eye and a giant horn on top. But one thing that's never in dispute is the fact that they are ginormous creatures, but also relatively simple ones. They're not known for any technological advancements per se, though I suppose there are myths about Cyclopses running the great forges of Olympus. But generally speaking, they prefer to stick back and live a quiet life of shepherds, albeit shepherds that devour human flesh when the occasion arises. Our main account of Cyclopses comes from the Odyssey, when Odysseus encounters Polyphemus in his cave. He's not the most welcoming of hosts. The Greeks show up, kind of surprised to see him. They have a sense that he's there, but they don't know what to expect, and so when he shows up, they apply to his sense of good nature. It was very common back in Bronze Age Greece for travelers and guests to be treated with the utmost respect. It was a sign of civilization and culture that if a guest came to your doorstep, you would be a good host. The Greeks approached Polyphemus expecting the same sort of hospitality that they would have received from any other host, and instead, the Cyclops had this to say. This comes from my copy of the Odyssey, translated by W.H.D. Rouse. He answered me with cruel words, "You are a fool, stranger, or you come from a long way off if you expect me to fear gods. Zeus Almighty be damned, and his blessed gods with him. We Cyclopeans care nothing for them. We are stronger than they are. I should not worry about Zeus if I wanted to lay hands on you or your companions. But tell me, where did you moor your ship? Far off or close by? I should be glad to know that." Odysseus replied, "He was just trying it on, but I knew something of the world, and saw through it. So I answered back, my ship was wrecked by Poseidon Earthshaker, who cast us on the rocks near the boundary of your country. The winds drove us on a lee shore, but I was saved with these others." The cruel monster made no answer, but just jumped up and reached out towards my men, grabbed two like a pair of puppies and dashed them on the ground. Their brains ran out and soaked into the earth. Then he cut them up limb by limb and made ready for supper. He devoured them like a mountain lion, bowels and flesh and bone marrows, and left nothing. We groaned aloud, lifting our hands to Zeus when we saw this brutal business, but there was nothing to be done. Cyclopses are a stand-in for kind of the more monstrous side of men. They're not just these giant man-eating creatures, they're also representative of what society looks like when every man says, "I have no responsibility to my neighbor whatsoever," and civilization kind of breaks down. Even after Odysseus blinds Polyphemus, Polyphemus cries out, and the other Cyclopses hear him, and they ask, "Well, who hurt you?" And he says, "Well, nobody." And they say, "Well, if nobody hurt you, then be quiet, leave us alone." And that's because in Cyclops society, if you can call it society, because it's really not that, each person minds his own business. They tend to their own flocks, and if somebody else, a neighbor, needs their help, well, that's the neighbor's business. They have no responsibility to each other. There's no politics, there's no society, and there's also no one you can rely on. It's also exactly why libertarianism doesn't work. So with that, let's get back to the video. Alright, and with the power of editing, I have my full army of Cyclopses. So we're just going to go ahead and take these guys and march on the town center. Again, normally I lean towards Hermes when I'm playing as Poseidon, but in this case I think it's better to play as Ares for your second minor god. And the reason I say that is because these Cyclopses have crush damage, so they're going to do a lot more against the buildings. While we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and use Ares' god power. It's Pestilence, and so basically what it does is it keeps these town centers and any sentry towers, like the one we placed over here, keeps them from firing arrows at you, which can be nice because you don't want your units to take too much damage. And then it also slows unit production, so this dock is not going to be able to create buildings as quickly. And it's as easy as that. You destroy the town center, you chase Kamos, and then you're done. like I said, these first couple levels are pretty introductory. Even on hardest difficulty, it's going to be pretty easy, pretty straightforward. We will get into some more challenging levels as the campaign goes on, but you'll also be able to walk you through it. You'll get more comfortable playing with it, and if you ever find the difficulties too much, what I do is I lower it down one, play through the game as is, and then when I'm comfortable with that level, then I'll bump it up a difficulty and go from there. And that's going to be all for today. I will greet you guys next time on the shores of Troy. So that'll be a lot of fun. In the meantime, like, subscribe, hug your mother, and Merry Christmas.